Okay, now I've warmed up my water, which is something I suggest that you do in advance because you do want to be able to have warm water when you turn it on. And I have adjusted this loop around his neck so that it is tight enough here that he can't get out and jump out of my floor. Let's move this back a little bit so you can see a little better what I'm doing. That's a little bit better. Please excuse the glare. Again, I wasn't exactly expecting company today. I'm not going to put this on until I go to do the drying, but it's important that you wear one if you're bathing dogs at work, especially. All right, now I have my water, or my shampoo diluted in water because that's how I like to do things. And I like to apply it to a dry dog most of the time because it gets your grease cut a little bit better. It also can minimize how many baths you need to do. Butch here is not real dirty. He belongs to an elderly neighbor, and the elderly neighbor may have had a heart attack last weekend. We're not 100% sure. So I'm just trying to clean his dog up a little bit for him. And it worked out great to be able to have a dog to use here that wasn't one of mine, because my dogs are actually all pretty well behaved, and it'll give you no idea of what to do with a regular client dog, or excuse me, your dog, if your dog misbehaves. And now he's not going to misbehave for me. Most dog groomers, well, some dog groomers do anal glands on your dog when they're bathing them for you. If you do not know how to do it, this is not the time to learn how to do it. I'm not going to be the one to teach you how. That's something I really think vets should do, and the only reason I'm doing it on him is I know for a fact his dad said he was scooting. So that's something that your vet would need to teach you, or you have to be shown in person. It's not something we can show you over the internet easily. Okay, Butch, sit down. Good boy. Now, when I get to his ears, you squirt some ear cleaner or mouthwash, whatever you have down in there. Squish it around. I do it in the tub because it's just easier for me that way. And then you can wipe it out with Q-tips if you need to. His ears are actually wickedly clean, so I don't really need to do this. If your dog's ears are really bad, I'll have a link to how to clean them out with a deeper flush. But if they don't need to be done, you can leave them alone. It's almost like sometimes the least amount of irritation, the better. And now I'm going to wait to do his eyes, or his face, until I get him rinsed. I like to let shampoo sit for a minute or two. It just seems like it works better if it does. And yes, I'm going to scrub it around with my hands while we're doing that, while we're waiting. When I turn that on, I turn on cold first because you don't want to have hot water scalding your dog. And I start at the top. Now I am going to wash his face before I rinse him because you're going to want to wash all that shampoo backwards. You want to start at the top and do that. So I'm going to wet his face first. You'll notice I don't have the best pressure in the world. At work I really have great pressure. Here, not so much. I probably would like you. I turn the water off at the faucet. I don't just let go there. I'm going to put the shampoo on my hand. Shoot, I forgot to rinse off the regular body shampoo. I forgot. Whoops. Lather up the head and face real good. Pay special attention under the eyes and around the mouth where there's going to be food buildup and eye gunk. You want to make sure you get all of that out. If it's really, really crusty, you can let it sit for a few minutes and then use a comb underneath it. He doesn't happen to have very much. So, again, this is completely tearless. It will not hurt him. Turn on the water. And then you start rinsing at the front and the highest spot on the dog. Try to keep him in the tub. And he's doing pretty good. I'm really kind of surprised, but he really is doing really good. The reason you want to start at the top is because you're going to be washing the shampoo down. So you wash from the top down. Make sure that you can feel the hair squeak. When you can feel the hair squeak, they are thoroughly rinsed. If you don't happen to have a sprayer, there's a couple of different ways you can do this. Guys, has decided somebody's in their way, but it happens. But anyway, if you don't happen to have a sprayer on your sink, which I know there are people who don't, you can use the straight water out of your spigot, or you can put it in a cup and pour it over. We used to do that years ago before we had a kitchen sprayer, and sometimes you actually get better pressure that way. When I do my Havanese, because she has so much hair, I tend to just run the sink water straight over her. If your dog does not like what you're doing, you might want to check your temperature on your water, because some dogs prefer warmer to cold, and some dogs prefer cooler to warm. You just have to check that and see if that makes a difference in how they're behaving. But again, remember, you want to make sure you rinse to where it's squeaky, and he's really squeaky. And then once you think you've gotten it all, rinse again. Just real quick, rinse one more time. Starting at the top and working your way down. The reason I put the non-slip thing in the tub, in the sink as well, is because it just makes them feel more comfortable when they're not sliding around. If you don't happen to have something non-split or non-stick, you can put a washcloth or a towel down, just something that they are not sliding on the stainless steel or the ceramic of your sink. If you don't have a sink that's big enough, like you have a divided sink, you can do this in your tub, but it is going to be much more difficult for you because you're going to have to bend over. Like I said, that is one reason why I put this sink in. If you happen to have a utility sink, like in your laundry room, or a mop sink or something along those lines, that works great. Most people don't like to use their real good towels for dogs. I personally don't see a point in not. I mean, just whatever you've got, because they're going to wash them afterwards anyway. But I do have a whole stack of older, more worn out towels that you can use if you wanted to. I'm sure you do too. Just pick something that you don't feel bad getting dirty with the dog, even though the dog's clean. And what I do is I towel dry them first in the tub, kind of squeeze it out. I mean, I use the towel, but I squeeze it like that to help absorb the water. And I'm going to use 2. And again, I'm sort of just towel drying a little bit here. I'm going to take that off. I'm going to put this over here to clean up my space. I'm going to take another towel and move him up. You're bringing that with you, dude. You're not supposed to do that. Move him up on top of my dishwasher where I've sat a rug. Mostly just because I feel like I can always get I feel like I can towel dry better when they're not in the sink. I feel like they dry better when they're not in the sink. And I'm not going to dry him here, but I could. This is about the right height for me to work. But I have my little Lazy Susan table over there, so I'm going to switch over to it. If you don't have a Lazy Susan and you're up on a countertop like this, so this is the perfect height, again, you just need something to connect them to. Something in the wall or something under a cabinet just to hook their leash and collar to so that they have a little more stability. All right, he's ready to be dried. So we're going to switch over to here and another video.